Finally, we have the background story on Bobby. Let's talk about it.
And I'm like, come on through, Corky. I'm going up on my soapbox. That's basically it. Let's talk about drag and all its forms. What, Cookie?
Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for season 1, episode 5 of 911. And like I said, finally we get to the point where Ryan has led us and he's given us the background story on Bobby. Let's go through it. But the start of the episode, we are at the scene of it's an Indian wedding. And everything's real beautiful, like they're in all of their traditional garb and all of that. It was just gorgeous, really, really gorgeous. They were on the 3rd floor of a building, and the wedding goes off without a hitch, not a problem. And then they're dancing, and the whole floor just collapses and gives out. And it's so funny because it put me in mind of, I remember a few years ago, there was a dance floor, and it was a club. There was a club where there was a dance floor that actually gave out like that, and then it brought up like a couple other cases. I don't know why that sticks out in my head, but as soon as I seen that, it stuck out in my head because I couldn't even imagine. That's just horrible. And I used to say it all the time. There's a club here in Pittsburgh where it's in a building that seems like a big old house is basically how it kind of is made. More or less, not like a club. It always seemed like a real, real big house to me. But the floor, you could actually feel the floor moving sometimes. And I always, it just gave me bad feelings. But all of that ran through my mind when I actually seeing this. As soon as I see the floor give out, like all those things just rushed to my head. But whatever, I'm on my soapbox. Let me get down. Boom, 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 and I'm back. But this is basically what happened. We found out that 3rd floor wasn't actually reinforced with cement and all that. And Bobby just went off on the owner, grabbed them all up, yanked them up, told him you're going to jail, and all of this. Of course, our bald-headed beauty hadn't stepped in, and she got him, and she's like, hey, chill out. You know what's going on. He's like really riding the edge a lot. He was riding the edge. After that, we actually see our bald beauty sitting, and she's talking to Athena. You know, Athena got set to the desk, so she's at the desk, and there's this whole little thing. She spoke to Athena about how Bobby's been kind of strange, and she didn't even go into, she kept that in confidence that he had been drinking and things. But she was saying, we were at his apartment, and there was like no pictures or anything, like no family, no nothing. It was just so weird. And she's like, that's just strange. They went out of that, and they started to talk about her ex. She has an ex that actually wanted a jail visit. And she's like, well, are you going to go? This, that, and the other. So from what I could gather, the relationship between her and the ex was very tumultuous. She's into a new relationship now where she's actually married. She has a wife and she has a child. And I'm thinking that the child, because the child actually looks biracial, and the child looks biracial, and our bald beauty is, she's brown skin, and the ex is actually Caucasian. So I'm thinking the child must actually belong to the other woman. Yeah. Unless it's like a whole joint thing. I don't know. They didn't go into all of that, but she went to the jail. She did visit her. And it was some of that old jailhouse bullshit. She's like, oh, well, I got a parole hearing coming up and I've been good. I ain't been in a fight in 2 years. And, this, that, thing, and the other. And it broke all the way down to, sorry, y'all. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, but whatever. Let's push on. The conversation all broke down to, I need something from you. Duh. My parole here is coming up. Maybe you could come because you're a pillar of the community. Maybe you could come in your uniform. I'm like, people kill you, honey, when they take you through all types of shit, and then they need you for something. Get out of here. Go somewhere and sit down. So anyway, later on, we see her with the actual wife, the new wife, and the new wife is not happy. She's like, this whore is not even out of jail yet. And she already got you sneaking around. She is a problem. She's like, no, she's not a problem. She didn't even mention the little boy, too much, really. Which she actually did mention him. And she told her, we don't even call him that by that name anymore. Or whatever. It's like some little nickname. She's like, we don't even call him that anymore. This, that, and the other. And then they went on. But you could tell she's pretty much selfish. She really was worried about herself more so. But she was like, it just may be a good thing because maybe, she just won't give us any trouble, this, that, thing, and the other. I said, ooh. This ain't going to turn out good. Ask me how I know. But anyway, so I just didn't see it. The wife wasn't happy at all. She wasn't happy at all. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see some more of that. And I'm sure we will touch on more of that. That was very interesting. But they left us hanging. That's all we got of that. Abby. Remember when we left off and Abby's mother had done walked out? Well, she's been gone for 9 hours. 9 hours. She did a text blast on her phone. And Buck actually got it. And it was his off day. And he's like, screw what we had planned out that we weren't going to meet and all of this. I'm on my way over. I'm going to come and we're going to go and I'm going to help you find your mother. So they were actually in their process of going to find the mother and all of this. And baby Carla met him at the door and he was like, Abby? She's like, no, I'm not Abby. But she was looking at him like, but baby, yes, indeed, honey. I just laughed. They go out in the car and they're actually, they got a plan and they're working the blocks trying to find Mama's ass that twirled on off. Okay, so Bobby. Let's talk about Bobby, which is what we're here for. Bobby goes down to see the pastor. And in the midst of the conversation, Bobby tells the pastor, there's a whole thing about him not being forthcoming with his team. And how he kind of feels bad because they don't really know him. And there's things about him that they don't know and that they'll never know because he's just not comfortable to tell them. And the pastor says, like what? He's like, the fact that I killed my whole family. And the pastor's like, okay. And I was over here like, what the hell are you talking about, Bobby? So then that's when we end up finding out that, okay, so years ago, Bobby had a daughter and a son. They were young. They were basically like my kids' age. It's, might have been a little younger. They're like 11. They might have been like 9 or 14 and 11. So they might have been like maybe 11 and 8, somewhere in there, something like that. And I'm looking at a little boy, little girl, cute little boy and girl. And he had the wife. He had a some type of surgery or problems with his back where he had his back operated. I think he had broken his back and he had been rehabilitated and he was on pain pills. But he had been taking pain pills and he was doing them with alcohol. So it was causing a problem in the marriage. He comes in, he says he was going out for a walk. We see him. He lived on the 11th floor. He went on a walk. He took his lying ass downstairs to the sixth floor where he went to another apartment that was vacant. He's in there. He got this space heater and a lantern. And he's in there and he's drinking booze and sucking down these pills. And then fell asleep, was down there for like hours. It was like after midnight. He wakes up and he jumps up and he goes on back upstairs. He goes back upstairs, but he left the lantern and the space heater on. And he also had this blanket down there. It was laying down there. Well, long story short, he goes back upstairs, ends up getting into an argument with the wife. She's like, this is just ridiculous. What is this? You went on the wall. Oh, well, I lost my phone. I lost track of time. All the lies. All the lies. And it all really had to do with you and this addiction that you had going on. And you're trying to cover it up. And one lie leads to another lie, leads to another lie. And you got to keep on telling lies to cover up your lies, which is a mess, which is just real life. That's what real life is. That's why I can't stand no lying ass. So he's going through all of this. And him and her have their little words. And he's like, somebody he's going for I think he was going for a walk or he was doing something. He was doing something. She was just done with the whole bullshit. She got up because she was on the couch waiting on him. She got up, she went in the bedroom and went to bed. The kids were already in bed. He goes out. He left the keys on the counter. He was going to go back down to the apartment. I guess to sleep down there for the night or whatever. Just all that old drunken hide up shit. He goes downstairs. He don't have his keys. So instead of going back up, banging on the door, making a whole scene, he ends up going up on the roof. Now it's wintertime. He takes his ass up on the roof. He up there popping his pills because the booze was in the room. He popping his pills and carrying on. He up there done fell asleep. Well, the space heater, old rickety ass space heater done sparked, caught the blanket on fire. Next, by the time he wakes up to the sirens. He's on the roof. He's looking over. The fire was just out of control. Out of control. So remember, he's on the roof. So he's trying to get down to the 11th floor. He gets onto his floor. It's like pandemonium. There's just like fire. And because he actually had caught on fire coming out of the elevator. He had to take his jacket and put it out. He had like a leather jacket. And he's like putting it out. And the next thing you know, this man comes busting out of his apartment. And he's on fire. And he had to get him. He was all charred and burned. It was terrible. And he's like, please stay still. I'm going to come back for you, this, that, thing, and the other. So he gets down, he runs down and gets to his door, and he's hollering for his wife. And they're in their sleep. They probably have been overcome with the smoke if they hadn't already been burning. And he's kicking the door, and he's trying to kick the door to get the door to open. By this time, there was someone else out in the hallway that was trying to kick the door with him to try to get it open. And just as they were just getting the door to about break open, the damn floor came from up underneath them and they fell down onto the next floor. So they were now on the 10th floor looking up at the door. He jumps up and he's about to trying to climb back up to the door, and he's still hollering for his wife. Well, at that point, the firemen had actually came in and pulled him down, and he's like, no, my family's up there. They're like, we're going to do the best that we can to get him. And they had to literally drag him out of there. Well, they didn't do so well. Over 140 people died in the fire. Okay. So that's what he says, he's been carrying that around, and the pastor was like, that is horrible. That is a very horrible story. And it's terrible that you've been carrying that around all this time, because I don't think it never actually linked back to him, but he's just been carrying that dark cloud over his head. And you do know that is karma. It's karma, and that's some of God's payback when you do things that are screwed up. You never know how it's going to come back to you. And I don't think it's no coincidence that you got stuck here still living to pay for all of that lying and deceit and all of that mess, and you dying on the inside while you're still walking around living. I said, that's bad. That's a bad place to be. Bad place to be. And I like Bobby, but hey, it is what it is. Secrets, it is what it is. Anyway, moving on. He said, the building wasn't up to code. The sprinklers weren't even hooked up in that building. And that's what he said. He was so damn high up and stuff that he didn't even notice. If he's in his right mind, he would have probably noticed, but he didn't even notice. So it was just sad. That was very sad. And it goes to show why he's so crazed. He's so crazed. He got a whole battle going on within himself. So, yeah, he got some issues going on. Anyway. Okay, so that's that on Bobby. Abby and Buck, they're right around town looking for Mama and her mess. In the midst of it, there's this call that came through. Something about a power line being down. And there was like a wreck. And it was a motorcycle and a truck accident, which in turn, the truck hit a power line. The power line come down. There's a pool in the back of this house where the power line had came down and it's like leaning over and it's touching the water. Some fool done went and jumped in the water because there's a little girl on a float. He jumped in the water and go get her. Toast, baby. His ass was dead as hell. Toes pointing at the moon, baby, in the water, floating, and the little girl sitting there on the little rafter thing. I said, I said, okay. So Abby and Buck are together. It's like, okay, you can't get in the water. You can't do that. The little girl's mother's like, it's just the best. And he tried to get in, and then something happened. I'm like, ain't nothing happened. His ass got fried. So I think it was the father that came running out, and Buck had to tackle him because he was going to go jump his ass in the water and be fried too. We had 2 pieces of toast. Super good. But anyway, so Abby came up with the idea. She said, give me your knife. She cut the edge of the hose off, the silver part, and they took the hose. Buck got on one side of the pool. Abby got on the other, and they brought the hose down to the little girl. Had the little girl hold on to the hose, and they pulled her to the side, and then Abby pulled her off of the rafter. So it was like really good. They got it. And of course, through all of this, they did all this before the first responders got there. So, they were bonding even more and more. So they go and they're riding, and then a little bit later on after that, they end up getting a call. They found the mama. She's at the hospital. They go to the hospital. She has been brought into emergency by 3 Hispanic young guys. They brought her in, and they said, well, what happened? They said, don't, and they had a pheno on the job too by this time. So I don't know what happened, but we seen her. She was dazed. She was all confused and everything. And he said, the one guy said, I knew what was going on because I dealt with it with, I think he said Mamacita, and I'm thinking that's probably his grandma. And he told her, he said, it doesn't get any better than this, ma'am. It just gets worse after this, And I'm like, I was thinking it myself, been there, done that. I'm like, girl, when they start walking off, honey, you're going to have to do something because this, whatever you're doing is not working. You got to tighten up, or she's going to have to go to a home or something. She's going to need 24-hour care. So it's a hard decision, but there's something that has to be done. So they do all that. They go back to the house. And it's this real awkward thing. It's like awkward. And then you really get to see Buck, like Buck's in his regular clothes. Buck is sexy as shit in his regular clothes. And he got there to be bow-legged too. I said, oh, Buck, come on with it, honey. Don't play with me. Anyway, so Abby telling him, okay, well, I guess we should go back to the phone thing like we used to do, because if we keep hanging, he's like, why? Like, I enjoyed hanging out with you and all of that. And she's like, no, because if we keep on hanging out, mistakes are going to be made, honey. She's letting you know, baby, if we hang out, baby, I'm going to climb you and have a seat. That's what I'm going to do. And guess what? I don't blame her. But anyway, so she told him, she said, and this is not, when you leave here, no matter how you're feeling, don't go have sex with no girl on Tinder. So he just kind of laughed, and he gave her a hug and held on. I was like, girl, she's better than me, honey. Draws across the room. Anyway, so they go, and then the next thing you know, these two, they're just a mess. That all happens. They go next day. They had this whole call, and this is just funny. They had a call from a fool at a car wash who the boss kept saying, "I told that damn fool that he has to make sure all of the spinners are off before he done left the spinners, or he out there hosing the place down, cleaning up, and the damn spinner done caught hold of him, and his ass that got tied up, and they had the video." The video surveillance was going. So after they got him and got him all cut down and everything, they were literally sitting in there laughing at him because you could see how it grabbed him. It would be a fabulous viral video, honey, because it was swinging his ass around like a rag doll. But Buck and our bald beauty were over there laughing at it. And Bobby was like, "That man could have been really hurt. Don't you all laugh about that." Then he looked at it, they going to say, "Run it back one more time." And then Bobby was laughing. So our bald beauty was saying, "I've never seen you laugh like that." And that's when he said, "You know what? I've not always been like this. I just don't let people in." And he said, "I made some mistakes in my life, and I lost everything that mattered to me. So I have a thing where I don't let anything else get into me to matter to me. And you and Buck have actually done that." And they're like, she said, "Hey, let us in. Let us in." And he says, "Well, I'm going to go cook a dinner when we get back to the house. And maybe I'll sit down and introduce you to myself." So I was like, okay, good. Because that's what the pastor told him. You got to give them the chance to draw their own conclusions, but you want them to trust you. And that was his whole thing. I don't want them to ever question me because I lead them. You know what I mean? I don't want them to question, what I'm telling them, that I have their best interest at heart and all of that. And he's like, you got to give them a chance. You got to let them have that chance with you. So I was like, okay, so he finally did listen. Last scene is Buck and Abby. Okay, so they're on the phone. They're back and forth talking on the phone. She in the bed. He's laying in the bed. And he done talked her into some phone sex. That's what the hell he did. Talked her into phone sex. I said, girl, she's better than me, honey. I'd have been in the car, honey. Come here, Mr. You. Come here, honey. Let me show you something. But anyway, it was good. It's always good. I love this program. So that was it for 911, and I will catch you guys next week. Later.